What if I told you every financial rule you've been following could actually be costing you money? Rules are supposed to protect us. The 23-8 rule for cars, the 3-5-25 rule for your home. Always build an emergency fund. Always max your Roth. These are the golden commandments of personal finance. But here's what nobody talks about. Rules are built for the average person. And you are not average. Today, we're not just listing the rules. We're going deeper. We're going to tell you exactly when to follow them, when to bend them, and when to throw them out the window entirely. Let's get into it. Real quick, if you're new here, this channel is where we break down the stuff your financial advisor wishes you didn't know. Hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you never miss a video that could literally change your financial future. Okay, back to the rules. Let's start with one of the most talked about rules in personal finance, the 23-8 car buying rule. Put 20% down, finance for no more than 3 years, and keep monthly payments under 8% of your gross income. Now, on the surface, this sounds rock solid, and for most people, it is. Cars are depreciating assets. The moment you drive off that lot, your car loses value. So loading up on car debt is genuinely one of the fastest ways to destroy your wealth. But, and this is important, when does this rule break down? Picture this. You're a nurse working night shifts. You live in a rural area. There's no public transit, no rideshare, and your old car just died. If you strictly follow the 23-8 rule, you might end up with a vehicle that's unreliable, which costs you far more in missed shifts and stress than a slightly bigger payment would have. The rule exists to keep you from overspending, but the exception is when not spending enough creates a bigger problem. Context matters. Next up, the 3-5-25 home buying rule. At least 3% down, mortgage term no longer than 5 years if you can, or at minimum a plan to stay 5 years. And your total home cost, no more than 25% of your take-home pay. Here's the honest truth about this rule. In many cities right now, 25% of take-home pay for housing is a fantasy. In New York, in San Francisco, in London, in Sydney, average rents are burning through 40, 50, sometimes 60% of income. So do you abandon the goal of homeownership entirely? No, but you adjust your strategy. Maybe you house hack. You buy a duplex and rent the other unit to cover your mortgage. Maybe you move to a lower-cost city first, build equity, then upgrade. Maybe you co-purchase with a trusted partner. The spirit of the 3-5-25 rule is to keep you from being house poor. So honor the spirit, even when you have to bend the letter. Here's a debate that breaks people's brains. Should you pay off high-interest debt first, or build your emergency fund first?
Wait, no.
The standard rule says, crush that high-interest debt. If your credit card is charging you 22%, no investment in the world is beating that consistently. The math is clear. Pay off the debt, then build savings. But here's where that rule quietly breaks down for a lot of people. Imagine you throw every spare dollar at your credit card. You stop eating out. You cancel subscriptions. You grind for months. Finally, the balance hits zero. And for a second, you feel free. Then your car needs a $900 repair. Your dog gets sick. Your hours at work get cut unexpectedly. You check your bank account and realize something terrifying. You have no cushion at all. So what happens? You swipe the credit card again. welcome to the debt loop. This is why personal finance is never just about spreadsheets. It's about behavior, stress, survival. A smarter approach for many people is building a small emergency fund first, maybe $1,000 to $2,000. Not a full 6 months of expenses, just enough to create breathing room. Enough to stop every emergency from becoming new debt. Then, you attack the debt aggressively. Because sometimes the mathematically perfect plan fails in the real world. And the plan that actually works, that's the one that changes your life. Save 25% of your gross income. This one sounds crazy when you first hear it. 25%? Most Americans are saving less than 5%. And honestly, when you're staring at rent, groceries, insurance, student loans, and gas prices that somehow keep climbing every month, saving a quarter of your income can feel completely disconnected from reality. But here's the thing. If you start early and you're consistent, 25% isn't just achievable. It's the path to retiring a decade earlier than your peers. The compound interest math behind this is almost violent in how powerful it is. Money starts making money. Then that money starts making money. And eventually your investments begin growing faster than your actual paycheck. That's the moment everything changes. Now, when does this rule get flexible? Early in your career. If you're 22, making entry-level money, carrying student loans, and living in an expensive city, trying to hit 25% immediately might just burn you out. So don't focus on perfection. Focus on momentum. Get to 10% first, then 15, then 20. Direction matters more than perfection at the start. Because the hardest part of investing isn't the math. It's building the... Hey, before we go further, I want to ask you something in the comments below. Which money rule have you broken? And did it work out for you or did it backfire? Drop it below. I read every comment. And if this video is making you rethink something, a like goes a long way in helping this reach someone who needs it. All right, let's keep rolling. This one is close to my heart. The Financial Order of Operations, or FO, is basically the instruction manual for your money. Step 1, cover your basics. Step 2, kill the high-interest debt. Step 3, employer match. Free money, take it. Then your emergency fund. Then your Roth. Then invest. Then build real wealth. And the reason people love the FO so much is simple. It removes the paralysis. You always know what to do next. No decision fatigue. No wondering if you're making the wrong move. No bouncing between TikTok finance advice that completely contradicts itself every other week. That's powerful. Because most people aren't failing financially because they're lazy. They're failing because they're overwhelmed. Too many accounts, too many opinions, too many decisions. The FO cuts through the noise. But when do you go off script? When life suddenly moves faster than the plan. Maybe you inherit a lump sum. Maybe you sell a business. Maybe you get a massive bonus during a bull market. Or maybe an opportunity shows up with a real expiration date. In those moments, the FO might tell you to slowly work through steps 1 through 4 first. But life doesn't always wait. That's where something called the Goldilocks rule for lump sums comes in. Don't dump everything in at once. Don't sit in cash forever either. Spread it out over 6 to 12 months. Let's end on something a lot of people get wrong. Hiring a financial advisor. The old rule of thumb used to sound something like this.
You need at least $250,000 in investable assets before an advisor is worth paying for. And honestly, that thinking is outdated. Because the value of a great financial advisor isn't just about how much money you have. It's about how complicated your life has become. Here's when you should seriously consider getting one right now, regardless of your balance. When you're getting married, going through a divorce, receiving an inheritance, starting a business, selling a business, having kids. In other words, when the financial decisions you're making suddenly carry real long-term consequences. And sometimes, the biggest sign you need an advisor has nothing to do with spreadsheets. It's when you realize your emotions are starting to control your money. Because that happens far more than people admit. People panic sell during crashes. They chase hype at market tops. They freeze when they should invest. Or they take massive risks because they think one lucky break will fix everything. A good fee-only fiduciary advisor doesn't just manage your portfolio. They become the rational voice when the market is collapsing and your gut says sell everything. They stop you from making emotional decisions that could cost you decades of progress. And that kind of emotional stability, it's worth far more than an extra percentage point of returns. Because sometimes, the best investment decision is simply not making a terrible one.
Here's the big idea I want you to walk away with today. Financial rules are not the destination. They are the guardrails. Guardrails don't drive the car for you, but they keep you from going off the cliff. The smartest money people I know follow the rules 80% of the time, and the other 20%, they understand the why behind the rule well enough to know when breaking it is actually the right move. That's what separates people who are always chasing financial stability from people who eventually achieve it. Not luck, not income, understanding. And that's exactly what we're here to build, together. If you made it this far, you're exactly the kind of person this channel is built for. Subscribe if you haven't already. We drop new videos every week that go deep on the strategies that actually move the needle. And I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, which rule from today's video are you going to rethink? Seriously, I read everything. Your comment might become next week's video. And if you want to go even deeper, check out the video on screen right now. We break down the complete financial order of operations step by step. I'll see you there. Take care of your money, and it will take care of you.